You know, this is an example that I love quoting. Dating is the closest thing to selling in everyday life.
To selling.
Yeah. You know how? I mean, my left hand, personal life, my right hand, business. Dating, two strangers involved. Selling, there are two strangers involved. Somebody reaches out to somebody.
Same thing.
Somebody reaches out to somebody. By the way, and even before you start, and if you're a guy, right? I mean, in your college or something, right? You start with a wide net of prospects. You start reaching out to people. See, they all agree with me here, okay?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You need options. So you basically start prospecting,
Okay.
right? And
Why?
all you need in both the cases is one conversation. All you're hoping for is, hey, here you're asking for a coffee date. Here you're asking for a 30-minute conversation. You're going to do your discovery call. Now, when somebody asks you out, would you like a person who are all about themselves?
Acha. So, today, first of all, thank you so much for coming. I learned so much before I started my own sales tenure with you or from you. And I felt like this is a conversation we must have. I feel like everybody should understand sales. First, to see how you can apply it to yourself
Yeah.
and be a seller of your own self.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the learnings of selling is a different ballgame itself. So I do believe that everybody should do sales at some point, preferably very early on in your career,
I agree with you.
right?
Yeah. A long time back, somebody told me, and I'm a strong believer in this, either you make or you sell.
Yeah.
Don't count in between. So if you see, like, in tough economic situations like this, right, the only things which are always safe are the people who are either making
Yeah.
or selling.
Yeah.
So get as revenue aligned as you can
Yeah.
early in your career,
Yeah.
and have that little portion in your resume
Yeah.
if you don't want to make it a whole career out of it, and I think that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the two industries that really help you understand this is chipset and adult entertainment.
Adult entertainment,
Yeah.
and how's that?
So adult entertainment, they have adopted to demanding changes
Okay.
throughout evolution of
Okay.
humankind itself. And
Yeah.
they are the first ones to adapt to any technology, change business models. Ultimately, it's about reach. How do I connect? You can be an unpad, but you know how to open a video.
Uh-huh.
And from there, you know how to find the next video,
Right.
right? So that's not because of you. That's
Yeah.
because adult entertainment industry has nailed how to really make
Get the
it
change
easy
going.
for you,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
today with OnlyFans, it's like completely changed. To your point, I'm
Yeah.
creating, I'm my own seller,
Yeah.
and I have an audience.
Yeah.
Whether I'm ethically it's right or wrong is a different debate itself. But if you really want to understand the two sides that you said, creator
Yeah.
as well as selling,
Seller.
these
Yeah, I
two
mean,
industries.
I think in both our businesses, I mean, that's how I started too.
Yeah.
I was the one, so I started my journey at SalesEdge, by the way,
Oh,
in Bangalore, in my 2 BHK, and I left Gartner, and the first 1 month, I think, I was just whole jacked up with the idea that I'm a founder with no business. Like, I would wake up every day and like, for the first month, I did not realize that I don't have a job. But I was generally happy in life.
just calling
I'm a
myself
founder. Yeah. And then I spent the next 6 months actually figuring out what I'm selling.
Yeah.
So, and then the next phase of the trouble started because it was a B2B business. It had its own long sales cycles, the prospecting cycles, and then there was delivery, and then there was billing. So what used to happen, and I was the only one who was doing all of this. I had like 2 phones. So I would like just call up with one. I'll say like, hey, hi, this is Rahul. I'm calling from SalesEdge. Yeah, I'll put my founder on the line with you.
Hey, but that is
Yeah,
smart.
so I did all of that, and I did all of that, and then after 6 months, I would realize that going through the whole cycle of prospecting, building a funnel, closing deals, delivering, billing a client, and then I was again back to the whole grind.
Yeah, grind.
After 6 months, I would realize that, oh God, I don't have a funnel again. And in 2 years of time frame, I realized that this is 100,000x much more tougher than being in any job.
In a job.
Yeah. I broke down twice when I started thinking that, do I apply again? Do I go back to corporate again? I, in fact, gave an interview once.
In between this.
In between this. And you would not believe what happened. So, I was being interviewed by Capgemini for their India Analyst Relations Head role. And I just couldn't figure out myself. I couldn't see myself wearing the tag badge again. So I was in the final round with a French lady. And in the interview, I was like, trying to process myself. I was picturing myself wearing the name tag. And in between, I just blurted out, I said, hey, will it be okay if I don't join you full time? Can I be a consultant? And I'll charge you half the money that I'm asking for right now. And she got so mad at me. Rightly so. I wasted time. And she was like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, are you... make up your mind. What do you want? Do you want this or do you not want this?
Yeah.
Right? So, it's a part of the journey that we all go through. Yeah. But thankfully, we are here. And if somebody asks me, hey, what is the turning point? I don't have a turning point. I think it just... I segued from that grind of that day to the grind of today.
Yeah.
And I can't put a finger on when it all changed. It just continued to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about pricing, na? Pricing is a function of value. And value is the most abused and the least understood word.
Yes.
Across.
Yes.
If I work a lot with enterprise sales teams, right? 9 out of 10 reps that you sit in a Monday morning call with and you do sitting in a deal assessment and you ask them, hey, we lost this deal, all right, yeah, cool. Why do you think we lost this deal? 9 out of 10 times, the answer is going to be because the competitor gave it cheaper. And the reality could not be more further away from that. You did not win the deal. It could be XYZ 10 different reasons. Price is not really. And by the way, just to our audiences who are listening out there, we are not talking about the B2C commodity products here, right? We are talking about high deal value software enterprise class solutions, right?
Like Adobe Creator
Suite. Yeah, any software
Microsoft
service or any
Azure.
B2B solution for that matter, right? We're not choosing between, okay, this chammach and that chammach, right? So then it's a peer-to-peer comparison, it's a commodity or something like that. You and I go like, okay, no, right? Yeah. But let's say, for example, if hair color, you get an option. Because this is so personal and you're also scared about, hey, what if I put a wrong product, right? And it makes my hair thinner or it makes my hair fall or something, right? And you get 2 options. This is really cheap and this is really premium. Yeah. Personally, as you, Saujanya, I can give it in writing. You know nothing about what goes inside both the hair colors.
True.
But 10 out of 10 times, you're going to pick the more expensive ones. Why? Because in your head...
उन्होंने कुछ तो research किया
होगा. Something like that, right? So, in your head, you are associating the price, the value of the product with the price. Yeah. And that's why I keep saying, pricing is a function of value. Yeah. And if you're able to demonstrate that, not just in as a sales guy in your selling career, but as an individual in everyday life, you're at least a little more likely to be successful than rest of your peers in the life.
I want to go, this word value is like, it's like, beaten to death. The meaning is very different. So one set of meanings is value, like honesty, truth, freedom, right? That's different from what you and I are talking to.
Right.
Now, my audience is not sellers. And this conversation, probably we might hit about 10, 15, 100 sellers.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that to just 25 to 45-year-olds who are professionals, who are artists, who are different journeys of themselves. And they could be relationship rebooters, they could be career rebooters, entrepreneurs, lifestyle rebooters, health rebooters. How do you define value for them?
Oh my God, okay. In general, the word value, if you just come back to what the word value means, right? And I'll go back to what I said. Value is the least understood word across, right? I mean, not just in sales, but across the board. Value is the most overused, the most abused, and the least understood word. Why? It's because of how you and I have grown up thinking and associating value with. Now, I'll give you a small example here, okay? What is the everyday perception of value for us? Let's just stay out of context of everything. Everyday life pe chalte hain. You get a big bag of chips. And how does Lay's sell that? It's a value pack. You get a big bottle of cola, the 1.5 liter. What is it called? It's a value pack. You go to a supermarket, they wrap 3 soaps together and they say this is a value pack. Now, consciously, subconsciously, that's how you and I have grown up associating value with, which is the lowest cost that we pay by unit of volume for everything. And because of that, subconsciously also we have started to associate, acha, is it of value to me? Is it mehenga? Is it sasta? Is it cheap? Is it expensive? Is it? That's how we associate the value. But is that how you look at value or worth in your everyday life associated with you, what you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a creator, right? Now, there are hundreds and thousands of other creators out there in the world. Tomorrow, let's say if you start, charging your guests to come on your podcast, right? Or you...
Maybe someday, no?
Yeah. or you insert like a, advertiser, a plug-in, right? Hey, this is somebody who's doing this. Now, who decides what should you charge? Who decides what's your value? Who decides what's your worth?
Yeah.
How do you figure that out?
Yeah.
That's the question. And is it fair that you charge X and I charge Y, and my price is low, let's say, does it necessarily mean that I will have more customers paying me? No. That's no guarantee of anything, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go back to the classic definition of what we were talking about, right? I think the value question that you're asking me associated with worth in everyday life, for different people, different walks of life, I strongly associated with the kind of problems that you're solving in your everyday life and who you are. You've got a great team sitting out here, right? There could be so many other people who are doing the same thing. Why is Jyotsna so valuable to you? What's her worth to you when there are others available? Because of the problems that she solves for you, and that has 2 sides. One is the kind of business skills that she has, right? The subject matter expertise, how deep she's into it. And second is how comfortable personally you are with her. That's the personal equation that I'm talking about. So if I go back to, talking about, hey, how does one decide their worth? I think it can be directly equatable to what kind of problems that you are solving in your everyday life and the kind of domain expertise that you have, whatever you're doing. So I strongly believe in this. I mean, even if you're doing the smallest of the jobs that you personally think could be, it's a menial job or it's something, how good are you in that one thing? We are living, Saujanya, in the age of AI, where it's already taken over like almost 50 to 60% of, let's say, coding jobs, right? So you and I are sure about one thing, that anything which is monotonous, anything which is repeatable will be overtaken by the AI. Now what will be left? The people who will be valued tomorrow are the ones who have a deep vertical expertise. We are not looking at the age or set of professionals from whatever walk you come from. It's a bad idea to go out there in the interview and say, hey, I can do 10 different things. I can do product marketing, I can do digital marketing, I can do product management, I am a developer also, I'm pre-sales also, I'm CSM also, I have done 6 months in sales also. No, that doesn't work anymore. What the world is moving towards is a heavy verticalized specialization, and that is something, your specialization, your expertise in doing one something will define your worth and who you are. I proudly say that I have just 2 skills in life.
Which is?
I can sell and I can coach how to sell. I do not have a third skill, and I'm proud about it.
So for them sitting here, right? If they were to just look at, let me put her in the spot or Kaustuv itself, right? What's value? Like, how do they go about? Do they just sit back? Because oftentimes, like I said earlier, we associate ourselves with the title, the company we are working for. You remove all that. What you're saying is, at the core, this question of self-worth, know your self-worth is such a cliche. No one teaches us how to figure that out. So let's probe a little more here.
Value, if I talk about 2 different professionals, right? They both bring value to their respective organization and bosses and their customers in a very different way. Now, value for me is a twofold thing. One, from a high-level definition point of view, value is nothing but the impact of your solution or your skills on somebody's problems that you're trying to solve. Your value is the ability to provide solutions faster, better than anyone else and have a bigger impact on my life. And that impact can be quantified and probably cannot be quantified. But are you bringing in that impact? You do a lot of social work. You're out there on the field, right? You spend your time with the rural women of Karnataka and nearby regions.
No, all over India.
All over India, right? What's your worth? What kind of, when you talk to these women, what do they tell you about their challenges?
I think...
just give me a few samples here.
I think it's 2 ways, right? First is, I think I've been in the change management space, so I understand change a little better. And I've been really working hard to be a better listener and empathize with journeys. So that helps me learn better on ground realities. And then I'm very good with tools and processes and frameworks. So then I'm able to help them with that.
But what are the kind of challenges that they tell you? What are you solving really?
It's very mindset-led.
Mindset-led.
Right? It's all mindset. So I'm a change catalyst and a mindset.
And then what happens once you work with them? What happens 2 months down the line when the mindset changes? What changes in their lives? Are they better individuals, leaders? Are they doing something?
I think all of us are very unique as individuals. And first, this is why this conversation is very important, because if you don't know what your self-worth is and what you bring to the table, you'll always think someone else is better.
Yeah.
And you'll always look for external validations of sorts.
Right.
Right? Whereas when I know this is what I bring to the table,
Yeah.
I have to learn humility in the process.
Of course.
But I'm not dependent on you.
Yeah.
I know how I can impact what you're looking for. So this thing of identifying what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And then understanding how do I fit in there? What do I bring
What do I
this-
bring to the table?
to solve this problem?
And the impact of solving that problem on someone's life.
Yeah.
Now, the point that I'm trying to really get around is talking about someone's worth and how they value themselves and the whole value conversation about your own life,
Yeah.
right? If I just take up your example there, right? You are changing lives. That changes the kids. That impacts the generations after them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're changing the course of one family, how they will be in the next 50, 100 years around.
Yeah.
That's a massive impact of your work that we are talking about. Now, look at
You should put this in our PR work. Yeah.
look at it from this lens.
Yeah.
Think of one person who inspires you. Give me one name. It could be a leader, political leader. It could be a poet. It could be an actor. It could be someone from your personal life. It could be anyone. Give me one name.
Who inspires me.
Yeah, who really inspires you. And I'll go across the hall to just check.
Yeah.
Who inspires you? Sadhguru. Who inspires you?
Wow. Many. I think
Yeah,
many.
just take one random name. This is not a trick question. I just want to go to. I want to help you
I think for
find
me
something.
it is nature.
Give me one name.
Name you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. I need one name. I need one individual, one person.
I like Esther Perel. What is her name? Esther.
Esther?
Yeah. She's the psychologist.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
I like her.
Okay, you like her.
Yeah.
Who do you like, sir? Shantanu Kumar. Do you have somebody who really inspires you?
Yeah, there's this guy, Kapil Gupta.
Kapil Gupta. Kamya? No, that's okay, Gen Z.
Hey, don't be bullied by this. Even this Jen, what am I? Old bloke took a while to actually respond to this question.
Now, these are all the people. Just look at this, okay? These are all the people who inspire us, right? Kapil Gupta, Esther, I'm forgetting Shantanu Kumar, Sadhguru, right? If you look at one common thing across these people, they are the ones who are solving some one big problem.
Yeah.
And if I take the name of randomly 5 politicians for you and I ask you, hey, do they inspire you? You'll be, no, I'm not sure, no.
Today's
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So, the question is, who's a leader, who's not a leader, who adds value, etc., etc., right? I mean, if I just club everything into one bucket, the people who we value, who inspire us, are actually the ones who are solving something important. It could be, if Esther is a psychologist, she's probably shaping young minds, helping people solve their mental health problems, etc. Sadhguru's tackling larger issues like soil conservation and stuff, right? But if you look at one common thread across the people you respect and who inspire you, they are the ones who are solving one big problem. They're not just talk. So what differentiates is there are people who are doers and then there are procrastinators. Yeah? There are people who are solving problems. Are you solving a problem that needs solving? And there is a difference. Sometimes we make up a problem to solve. And that's something that, that's a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs do probably in their lives.
Chasing the wrong problem.
Chasing a wrong problem to solve. right?
If I bring
yeah.
this back,
Yeah.
Bhawani, to us as an individual, and still come back to value.
Yeah.
What's the problem I am solving? Like
You?
it is like if I let each one of us here,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
if I have to go back and say to this conversation, first you need to know what you're solving. So if I have to talk to my future self, and then it starts from there, right? What's that future self going to look like? What's the problem I'm solving for myself? And from there, how do I go about where am I today?
Yeah.
What is it? I have to go deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And that is the self-worth I'm going to start bringing, or the
Correct.
value I'm bringing.
Correct.
And I'm going to start grooming myself. So first I need to sell it to myself.
Exactly. And that's where you're 100% right. I mean, if you have to talk to your future self and think about, hey, what am I solving? Why am I even doing this? What's your why? Do you have a why? Do you have a strong why that connects with your inner conscience and has strong legs to probably even go to the future self? You don't want to do something that fizzles out in the next 6 months, 1 year, because it wasn't a big enough problem or didn't have a wider enough impact to be even done in the first place.
For
Why?
simplifying this a little more,
Yeah.
if I take a dating scene,
Uh-huh.
explain how the self-worth comes in over here.
You know, this is an example that I love quoting.
Oh.
Dating is the closest thing to selling in everyday life.
To selling.
Yeah. You know how? I mean, my left hand, personal life, my right hand, business. Dating, 2 strangers involved. Selling, there are 2 strangers involved. Somebody reaches out to somebody.
Same thing.
Somebody reaches out to somebody. Now, in dating, if you talk about, take this example. By the way, and even before you start, and if you're a guy, right? I mean, in your college or something, right? You start with a wide net of prospects. You start reaching out to people. See, they all agree with me here, okay?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You need options. So you basically start prospecting,
Okay.
right?
Huh.
And
Why?
all you need in both the cases is one conversation. All you're hoping for is, hey, here, you're asking for a coffee date. Here, you're asking for a 30-minute conversation. You're going to do your discovery call. Now, when somebody asks you out, would you like a person who are all about themselves?
No.
No. If you go out on a coffee date,
But you meet a lot of them.
and yeah, you do meet a lot of them. Yeah, and that happens in sales too.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically these two things are like so closely associated. But yes, if talking about relationships, right? What we talk about and the kind of people that we like are the ones who are interested in us, who are not about, hey, you know what, I'm so cool, I did this, I'm a swimming champion, I scored this much, I work here, I earn this, I drive this car, I have this bungalow. No, nobody wants to know how cool you are. People like and respect if they're interested in you or not. It's driven by questions. Hey, what's your aspiration? What do you like? There's a difference in saying, we're going to have Chinese tonight versus, would you like to have Chinese tonight? You see what I'm saying here? So people who are interested in you rather than themselves are the ones who are more successful in business and in dating.
But you said
You want to meet them, right? Now, yeah.
you said prospecting.
Yeah.
And you go through
Yeah.
loads of prospecting.
Yeah.
That itself is a bad way to start, isn't
Oh, no,
it?
why? Your success rate. You start with the top of the funnel always is heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
But you need to have some filter on top, right?
Oh, yeah, you
every
do.
Tom, Dick and Harry can't come
oh,
into your
of course. Now you're
prospecting.
talking my world, right?
Huh.
Yeah. So like in business, we have the ICP defined.
Huh.
So this
ICP, what is
ideal customer profile.
Okay.
So these are the kind of customers that I will go after. This is the size, this is the revenue number of employees, these are the designations, these are the geos that I want to go after only, right? Here also, you have some mental ICPs defined, more in women than in men. Yeah, like this is the kind of guy that I want to be with. I'm exploring right now. All right, I'll go for a coffee with a few, see how it feels. That's what we do. We explore, and then you click with someone. Now, what makes you click, or what makes the other person click for you? It's never how cool. It's never the people who come across too strong on you about how good they are. But it's always the potential of the partnership, where it will go and how it will transform me in the future. My life in this partnership, where will it go? You see what I mean here?
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same.
So there,
Both the places.
if I don't know what
Yeah.
my self-worth
You s-
is, then I am another prospect to the
Exactly.
hundreds there.
Exactly.
And I might just go after the wrong problem.
Exactly.
That is a problem then.
I might go after the wrong solution if I don't know, right? Because if you just look at the whole landscape, right, what we are talking about right now, and why are we going through? I mean, just talking about relating the whole concept here, right? The importance of valuing yourself. We undervalue ourselves. I mean, you work in this space more than I do, probably, right? A lot of people come to you and say, hey, you know what, I'm in this shitty relationship right now where I just feel that I'm giving. I'm being controlled.
Sounds very familiar to
Sounds very familiar, yeah. And and are these the kind of relationships which are sustainable? No. The concept, we talk about one concept in selling, which is power buys from power, or the relationship of equals. If you're a sales guy, you need to come across, you're still selling to, say, top-notch CMOs, CROs, CEOs, CHROs, etc. The guys who are most successful are the ones who come across as an equal to them. They start the conversation right from the first handshake and the first icebreaker sentence that comes out from your mouth. It's not, you don't have to bend 90 degrees and say, sir, I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for your time. No, gone are the days. And similarly in relationships, it is the relationship of equals. Why do we see so many splits today, Saujanya? The reason we see so many splits today, because now both men and women want a relationship of equals. You don't want somebody to take a higher moral plank and tell you what to do. It's about understanding your opinions, your preferences, your choices, your aspirations. What are your ambitions? And then I want to align with that. Yeah? That's where you also see your potential coming to the fullest. That's the kind of relationship that works in the business, and that's the kind of relationship that works in personal life.
So if I can summarize it till
Uh-huh.
here.
Did I just confuse you?
No.
We're gonna summarize.
It reminded you of the Baba, no? We had this every 15 minutes. Can I summarize what I understood? So first, you need to know your self-worth.
Yeah.
You need to know who you are.
Who you are, what you bring to the table.
What do I bring to
Yeah.
the table? And you have to have a very strong perspective on that.
Mm-hmm.
And you should also have a visual view or some perspective of what does growth mean for you. That is the sales story first for yourself. From there, prospecting is about then finding who's got problems that you can solve, knowing the problem that you can solve.
Knowing,
and
understand, and this process starts, like you said, understanding what you can solve yourself. What skills, what things that you bring to the table. And that mismatch is very bad. You bringing in skills or they bringing in skills, that it has to match, right?
Yeah.
For me to value you,
Yeah.
you must have something that I can use in my life.
Yeah.
You're solving a problem for me that I can value. If I don't have that problem, or you don't have that skill, that vision breaks for
Is
me.
that what situationship is today?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on relationships.
Is that what situationship is?
ये क्वेश्चन मेरे लिए वैलिडेट नहीं है.
अच्छा, valid ही नहीं है. Okay, so now
Yeah.
once you know where the fitment is, then it is about going into these as an equal.
Yeah.
From that space of this is my self-worth,
Yeah.
and walking into those conversations or those prospects
Yeah.
as an equal.
Yeah.
That's tough, no?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I don't know about you, I always am underconfident. When I started Attitude Makeover, I would, thanks to you, I learned cold messaging. And we'll talk about this a bit.
Yeah.
And so that work of finding the prospects and then writing
Yeah.
the value prop mail
Yeah.
is one part.
Yeah.
But even there, it's like I'm trying to reach someone who's beyond my reach.
Yeah.
And when they come back, I am so thrilled.
Yeah.
Oh God, thank you so much, sir. It feels so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
To what
yeah.
you're saying is sit
Yeah.
across as an equal.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage and grooming and,
Yeah.
internalization.
And this should bring you back to the point that we were discussing, self-worth, because we undersell ourselves.
Tell me
we
a little.
underestimate ourselves most of the times.
Is it with sellers as well? They underestimate.
I mean, it's. I'm just talking about, across the board. I mean, with all kinds of people. Most people underestimate themselves and the skills and the passion that they bring to the table. They're like, hey, am I even good? Am I even there? Am I even doing this? If I look at Kamala, she's like, hey, what do you bring to the table? I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if my research skills are valued right now. Of course they are. Because the kind of research that you put, and if I zoom into it further, and I go, hey, this industry, this particular space, I'm the best in this micro little space that I have created for myself. And then I'm going to go and say, hey, you know what? I made Saujanya Shetty go from 0 subscribers to reach 1.8 million. That's the impact that you bring, and go get a, sort of an interview scheduled with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there is a problem that you're solving, but the bigger problem that we come across, especially with the younger generation today, is the fact that we underestimate ourselves all the time. We undervalue ourselves. We don't think that what we are doing is big enough or important enough or could be valuable enough. But hey, start linking it back. Is it solving something for someone? And the more you start your specialization, like I said, tomorrow and this world is going to be a world of specialization, Saujanya. Do mark my word on this one. It's not going to be about jack of all anymore. It's going to be about master of one. Yeah. And the more you start specializing deeper into one industry, one expertise, one area, one vertical, the more valued you'll be in the future. If you're a content writer, be the world's best content writer. If you're a content writer who writes about plants, and then you're a content writer who writes about aquatic plants, and then you're a content writer who talks about aquatic plants in the Atlantic. You see what I'm saying? That makes you valuable, because you're solving a niche, hard to solve problem that nobody else in the world is working on, and that's a specialization that we value.
And that is where you don't lead with price as a conversation.
Yeah.
You lead with what you bring to the table. The price automatically then comes in.
And then you start people who value that expertise they start to find you. And this is where I talk about the ICP, the ideal customer profiles. Yeah. Then you start eliminating, like, so for example, at SalesEdge, right, we get a lot of inbounds, right? And then we look at like, all right, oh, this is too small a company, like 5 employees, 10 employees, 15 employees, 30 employees. And then we know, okay, ठीक है, ये हमारा ideal customer set नहीं है. They probably will not be able to afford this, right? We do something else with them. And that's what you do, right? In your life, you start thinking of a certain set of people to be with, to work with, to spend the weekends with. And that's how we all we have our sorting hats all the time. We sort different people, right? You put out a random message on, and you met Constructive.
Yeah.
Probably there were 5 more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Constructive is here today because there was something that matched. Yeah. Right? Why not with the other 4? And that's what I'm saying. That's why you start wide, the top of the funnel. Yeah. You eventually will filter out the people who don't value you. One thing that I believe in relationships. Human relationships, are like bank accounts.
It's all zero.
What do you do in a bank account?
Keep taking money out.
Save,
You can do 2 things.
invest and take back. Give, deposit, withdraw.
Deposit and withdrawal. Similarly, in life you meet 2 kinds of people. People who either deposit in you or withdraw from you. Have you ever personally experienced, you're talking to somebody on the phone, just on the phone, and how they suck the light out of you?
Yeah. Do you know people like that?
Yeah.
Look at their heads nodding. No,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are people you meet and interact, and they just inject something, some positivity into you, some knowledge into you, some confidence into you. They inspire you to do better. That's people who are depositing into you. You and I value relationships and people in our lives who deposit in us.
Yeah.
So if you want to be valued more, it has a direct correlation with what you give to the people who you care about. And then it can be at different levels. It did not need to start at a Sadguru level, right? It can start with you and me, right? One-on-one relationships.
Yeah.
What are you learning from me today? What am I learning from you today? Yeah?
Yeah.
And then you slowly start to broaden your circle of influence.
Yeah.
You started attitude makeover. You impacted a few lives. You started going to these small villages where you're impacting some lives. And then you are constantly thinking, how do I broaden this platform so I can influence more and more and more? And that's when you started building this community that you're talking about. Yeah? So people will value Saujanya because she's out there depositing in me in my relationship. She's not withdrawing from me. And why people hate politicians? Because they withdraw.
Yeah.
They take things away. That's human psychology.
So what you're also saying in a lot of ways is you're talking about decision process as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're saying
Yeah.
you don't go about, it's not like, oh, this is my value, so prospect hundreds come. I am doing the prospecting first. Who do I share this value with? And then you're going deeper.
I identify the right people to be with, work with, whatever. Yeah.
And this holds good with even dating, relationships, everything.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful. No?
Amazing.
Lovely it is.
That was nice.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, do you take praises and all well?
No.
Do you know?
I don't. I remember I was doing this workshop in Calcutta, and I think I did something decent. and when we ended the day 2, and I'll always till I'm in my senses, I'll always remember that day, that evening. I ended the program. It was day 2, and we had the whole set of participants, and the claps usually start and end like in 15-20 seconds normally. This was like 30 seconds.
Wow.
And ongoing, and I walked out of that room.
You walked out.
I was like, no, this is not right. So yeah, I don't, and I think, am I hijacking the question here?
No.
All right. The reason I don't take praise as well, I don't want to think too much about it, because in my line of work, it's very, very easy to get into your head. Yeah. The idea is to repeat the process again and again and again and again. One assignment over, one job done, you put your head back and repeat the whole process all over again, like you're starting all over again. The more I'll think about, hey, what I did 3 assignments back, it's going to impact my head in a bad way. So it's so important to forget and move on from all the applause and the success and the whistles and the claps that you receive on one's day. Yeah, soak in it in that moment, but snap out the next. I would strongly suggest that.
I agree with you, but here's why I was asking this question.
All right. Yeah. Like I said, I hijacked the question.
No,
yeah.
no, you didn't. You did. It was deliberately left to that point.
All right.
I think as Indian culture, do you need more water?
Yeah. It'd be nice.
Hold on, man.
What makes me keep going? I mean,
Yeah.
like, I've delivered thousands of programs
Yeah.
and easily coached a few thousand people.
अच्छा पैसा बनाता है. Going back to my question earlier, praise.
Yeah.
Right? And even before that, we talked about the self-worth and then finding your tribe or the ICP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jokes coming out over here.
You were going to ask something related to Indian culture.
Correct. I'm
Yeah.
going there only.
Yeah.
So, we as Indians, if you see when you're growing up, I don't know about your home, but in most homes, at least in the South, don't back answer, don't ask too many questions. Jawab de raha hai wapas, all that happens. Whereas here, in this process that we just spoke about as self-worth and
Yeah.
figuring it,
Yeah.
you're asking us to do exactly that. It sort of then adds an additional challenge, isn't
How
it?
am I asking you to do that?
When you say, I need to know the potential customers for this, my ICPs, for what I
Your
bring
tribe,
to the
yeah,
table,
yeah.
right? I need to first be very curious about them.
Yeah.
Like
You gotta be
almost
curious.
being nosy, almost stalking.
Oh, no.
Wait. I'll explain.
Okay,
I
all
saw
right.
the eyebrows come together. Oh.
All right. Yeah. I was like, no,
Maybe I've
that's
done
not-
the process wrong in that case. Sorry,
okay.
then I might
yeah.
just come
No,
across
go
as a
ahead.
stalker.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to have Jyotsna as my guest.
Yeah.
Before I even reach out, I need to know why she needs to be my guest.
Right.
Why?
Right.
What's that conversation I want to have?
You figure
This
out
is
the why. Yeah.
And then I need to know literally everything I know, what she's spoken, what are things that she's very passionate about, everything, her style. Sales is all about preparation. That's
Yeah.
what you've taught me.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to know all that groundwork
Yeah.
before I write to Jyotsna saying, hey, I really like this.
Yeah.
This caught my attention.
Yeah.
Would love to get 30 minutes with you.
You're securing.
have
You're,
this
you're,
conversation.
you're selling a meeting there. Yeah.
This is not easy.
Yeah. I know. Of course. Yeah.
This
yeah.
part,
Yeah.
considering I've grown in an Indian culture, acha tumko kyun? You try asking these questions to your uncle or your father or your mother. क्या बोलेंगे? कोई और काम नहीं है क्या? है ना? तो पर तुम कर रहा है.
Okay. So, got it.
Valid
What-
question or stupid?
No. I think I need to explain better. What you're picking this, the part of the selling that you're picking up is the prospecting piece. It's not the sales process yet, right? That is the part where you're reaching out to a stranger and saying, and all you want is a little of their attention to turn back at you and say, hey, hi, yeah, interesting, let's talk. That's all you want, right? Now, how do you get their attention? Do you get that attention? Would you gain their attention by talking about yourself?
No.
No. You get that attention by talking about them. The conversation that the best salespeople have is they shift the spotlight from themselves to the other person, to the prospect. I'm interested in you. And this is this is how I was talking about that, how personal relationships and selling is so similar. When you're reaching out to an absolute cold stranger, you're trying to sell the meeting to them. And by the way, a very interesting part here is, just talking about prospecting. One of the most common mistakes that most people do is they try to sell the product. Oh no. The selling would happen later on when they agree to sit with you. At this point, just sell the meeting, secure the time, exit.
Yeah.
Don't over-intellectualize this. Don't turn your first cold call into a discovery call. Nobody's interested in that. Nobody's interested in your product. Not your features, not your business, not how good you are. They are interested about themselves. Can I be more successful, more popular, better if I'm working with you? And they seek those things. So why people would even give you that time and attention and energy to invest with you in the first place? You need to gain their attention. And how do you gain their attention? By not talking about yourself. You talk about them. And that's exactly the point I'm saying, right? So the part that you're picking up is personalizing your outreach, creating a hook for them to come back to you. Now, an interesting question here is, you don't necessarily have to praise them. No, not at all. I mean, let's say, for example, if I was a sales guy and I was trying to sell you some, podcast equipments, or if I'm a designer, I have to reach out to you to decorate your set here. I have two ways to do that. Option one, imagine this. Tring, tring.
Hello there.
Hi, is this Saujanya?
I could be that.
Just play along.
Oh, play along with
Yeah.
it. Okay. All
Hi,
right.
Tring, tring. Hello, hi, is this Saujanya?
Yes, this is Saujanya here.
Saujanya, my name is Bhawani. I'm calling on behalf of ABC Private Limited. We are the sellers of this, and what happens then? You disconnect in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I was like not interested.
Not interested, right? Scene 2, Act 1. Tring, tring.
Hi there.
Hey, Saujanya.
Hi.
Saujanya, hi. My name is Bhawani. I just saw your recent episode with the Baba that you did on your last podcast. By the way, it blew my mind to know. Oh, hey, by the way, I might have just called you at a wrong time. Is it okay if I take 30 seconds with you right now?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of something, but sure.
You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah. Yeah.
The idea, I think, I wasn't trying to praise you.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to do is gain your attention by talking about you, by being interested in you, your work.
Yeah.
And at this point, now psychology says, how long does it take? Let's talk about cold calls. Let's talk about prospecting a little bit. How long does it take for you to figure out that this is a cold call?
The first 3-4 minutes,
Oh,
seconds.
3-4 seconds,
Yeah.
right? Across the board? 3-4 seconds? And you hang up after that? Yeah. What gives it away that this is a cold call?
Nowadays it's at spam.
Nowadays it says spam,
Yeah.
but then the
even
tech is getting
otherwise,
smarter.
yeah.
Let's say you pick up one.
Yeah.
You pick up one and it takes you 3-4 seconds to figure out that this is a cold call.
Yeah.
What gives it away in the 3-4 seconds?
Hi, is this Saujanya? Am I speaking with Saujanya?
Yeah, go on.
Do I have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Can
that.
I get a few minutes?
Yeah, that's one opening.
Right? Or
Is it a good time to
is
talk?
it a good time to talk?
Yeah, that's one opening, right?
Yeah.
That gives it away. That's a very
Yeah.
salesy phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Sometimes what gives it away is, most of the times for us, is they lead with their product, their solution,
I was gonna say.
their company's name. Hi, this is Bhawani. I'm calling on behalf of HDFC. And no, man. Right? This is like sales written here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what do? We hang up.
We hang up.
Now, you and I have no idea at that point how good the pitch is, if this is useful for me or not.
Yeah.
Is there something valuable for me or not? We haven't let them complete, right?
True. I switched off even before.
You switched off even before because, you know one thing? We love to buy, but we hate getting sold. कोई कहता है आपको मॉल जाने को? खुद ही जाते हो. Right? Now, imagine this. So now psychology says, the longer I hold you, if I hold you on the call for about 15, 16 seconds, the chances of me just executing my elevator pitch increases by 80%. So, as a sales guy, I have a twofold job. First, to keep you on the phone for 15 seconds, if I can just keep you there. And once you're there, then I have 80% chance to at least deliver my pitch.
Yeah.
I'll be a little more successful.
Yeah.
At least you're going to listen to me, right? And that's exactly what I'm saying here. I'm saying, otherwise, if you're going to stay transactional, what happens exactly is what happens in flea markets. You're a shopaholic.
Used to be.
Yeah. You go to flea markets, right? Janpat, Sarojini, the ones in Bangalore. What happens? You're walking down the road. There's stalls both the sides. You stop by and you just look at something.
And that's it.
And that's it. And they'll be like, madam, aa jao, madam, aa jao. Right? Daam lag jayega, madam, aa jao. Dekh lo, madam, right?
Yeah.
And what do? What's your instant knee-jerk reaction is? Nahi. Why? Because you don't want to be sold psychologically. You love shopping.
Yeah.
Right? Man lo, imagine, you stay.
Yeah.
All right, chalo, I'll one look. Right? You pick up a top, you pick up a t-shirt, you pick up a cap or something. What's the next thing that you ask for?
What's the price?
What's the price? So, your relationship is gotten transactional in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want a transactional relationship at any cost. Now, fast forward, it's a weekend. You go to the mall. You go to one of your favorite stores. You're shopping, you're walking around Zara. You're like flipping hangers. There's a sales guy who walks up to you. What do they say?
Like what you're wearing.
I like what you're wearing. They compliment you. They ask you a question. What
Not
size
in
are
Zara, but yeah.
Yeah, for example, right? I mean, I'm just saying
Fair.
modern retailing.
Fair.
Yeah? They ask you a question. What size are you looking for? If you're a woman standing in a man's section, they ask you, hey, who are you looking for?
Yeah.
Is it for gifting?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They ask you questions, but they don't
Push
go on you. They're not pushing you, right? They're not on your head. And then you pick up something which is not 300, which is 3,000. You walk to the billing counter and you just take out your wallet, give your credit card, and you say, hey, swipe. Do you say, nahi bhaiya?
200.
800. No. You wouldn't dare do that. Again, to what I said earlier, price is a function of value. You're associating a certain value, and that starts from the way you step inside the deal, or as we call it, the life.
Yeah. True. Actually, I want to add to this. Like, I am no longer a shopaholic. That's one
Yeah.
of the massive changes I have. I used to be
Yeah.
because I had a reward system for myself.
Right.
Like anytime I've done something really good, I would go spend something on myself.
Right.
And that used to be my reward system. So I had to disconnect from that process that I had built for myself. But one thing I'd observed
अभी
is,
reward situations कम हो गई हैं.
हंसो मत, ये अपने बारे में बोल रहा है.
व्यूज गिर रहे हैं.
So when you go to, especially when you go to the Soul Sante and those kind
Yeah.
of things, they're very curated sort of, sell stories that
Right.
happen in Bangalore. What I've noticed is when you're looking at something, the other person will say, "Oh, that's a lovely piece, and I think it'll look really good on you. You've got some good taste," or they just start a conversation which is
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
And once you've engaged in that, it's very hard to move away. That hook is done.
Yeah.
And I could draw a parallel now as a creator. Everybody should do creation, content creation, because we bloody survive on those hooks. The first 3 minutes,
3 seconds.
3 seconds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acha. They matter the most.
Yeah.
So everything is around those first 3 seconds and what you do
Exactly.
to hold you
I'll-
back or to
I'll
move
just
you.
add to that point. Even before I get to that 3 seconds, I'll have to stop at that video.
Have to catch your attention.
You'll have to catch you'll have to catch my attention
Yeah.
from the cover image
Yes.
and the line which is visible to me
Yes.
as your caption.
Yes.
It starts there.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
that might just make me stop at it.
Yeah.
And then the first 3-5 seconds, I'm going to hear some sound bites. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah. 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 No, this is brilliant. So what you're saying is this, going back to our earlier, how do you go and sell yourself? Like, now I know my self-worth. अब जाके सबसे बोलूं क्या मैं change catalyst हूँ आप मुझसे बात करो नहीं. What you're saying is there's a way in which you connect with your prospects and practice the art of that.
Of course, yes, I'm saying that. But what I'm also saying is, see, everything is so connected. We were laughing about the ICP. So starts with, you go to the right people.
Yes.
You can't sell to someone who cannot buy, right? You identify the right people. I mean, let's say the kind of work that you're doing. What do you open your playbook
Yeah.
and you come to the GK1 and you sit with the women there, or you go to South Bombay. You sit with the women there. Would they find anything in common with what you're talking about? No. You've got to identify whose problem is it first. Am I reaching out to the right person? Yeah. So that's the first thing I'm saying if you want to sell yourself. But second, when you're selling this, right, you are selling not I'm a change catalyst. You are selling a better idea of a life after working with you. You are selling the impact of your work on my life.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful.
That's what you sell.
That's so powerful. Yeah. So it's not like, hey, attitude makeover. No.
No.
It's about what's in it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the impact.
And we miss that both in life and in relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, I always keep saying, right? I mean, designations don't matter. You just you tell me I'm a, so like this stuff. I keep joking about this, right? I mean, with all respect to everybody who's out there. I keep joking. I mean, say, I ask people, hey, how are you? I meet them. Like, what do you do? I'm a process analyst. I'm like, what? like, what process are you analyzing?
But this,
Right? I'm this.
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, yeah.
I'm a researcher. Like, you're my, you're my muse.
Yeah, no, I've done this too.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm a researcher, right? I mean, if I was in a one-on-one session with you, I would help you realize what exactly your skill and your focus areas are. You're not just a researcher. Think about the problems you're solving. Think about the impact that you're bringing, and you are that. That's why it's important to understand the why, and it's a process. And it's important to understand what's the number one skill that you bring to the table.
yeah, and I think this is where also this is another realization I had. Like, when you're in the corporate, when I was in the corporate world, when I used to go introduce, doors used to open not because of Saujanya,
Yeah.
because of the company I worked for.
Correct.
And the title I had or
Right.
whatever, right? When that goes away, the same doors, they cease to open. So it's very important to know the you part of it.
Yes.
It's a journey of knowing the you.
Yeah.
And since we're all unique, it's very important to go back and reflect on your journey.
Right.
तुम थोड़ी ऐसे ही इतना लंबा और चौड़ा हिंदी में नहीं बात करेंगे ना गड़बड़ हो जाती
गड़बड़ हो जाती है.
So it's not like overnight you just came
Yeah.
and you settled to become who you are.
Yeah.
You've had a journey, and that journey is very different from me.
Yeah.
It's different from each one of us. And there are things that have brought you to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing thereby what are those things that are uniquely you
Mm-hmm.
will help you in defining the who part of it in a much better way,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to understand first you,
Yeah.
and only then anything else and everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Bhawani, in this process, when you're starting on this process, it's scary.
Yeah.
Cold messaging, cold calls are not easy.
Yeah.
For the audience, he's the one who taught me this. And he had one rule. Every day I had to put 30 minutes you had given me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Every day, 30 minutes, I had to do this. You like it or not. And you hate it. I hate it. I'm a total introvertish, very shy sort of person. And this was the toughest part.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to go read about somebody, find out, and then custom build a message, and then to write. And it was hard. Like, there are days together I would say, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it causes a lot of, because when you're starting, you're not walking with a lot of confidence.
Right.
So let's say I'd still do this and you don't respond. A lot of them don't respond. I don't know why. It's just as simple as, hey, not interested. Or, hey, I read this, not this time.
Yeah.
It's just that simple, but yet we don't do that.
Yeah.
And it impacts you. These rejections impact you. Tell me how you deal with that. How do you groom yourself from that first process of very low confidence, I'm going to try this. You're asking us to be consistent in that process. And it could be anywhere. It could be with your career. It could be with your relationships. It could be with your health also. Gym.
Yeah.
Just the whole process of going to the gym and being very regular with your workouts. Or entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
I'm a technologist. I like building products. But मेरे को sales पसंद नहीं है. I'll keep that aside. But you are forcing me to do all of this.
Yeah.
Things that I don't like as well. It sucks into your confidence.
Correct.
So how do you?
Saujanya, the thumb rule is boring is good. Okay? And all good things. I mean, sales is one example where we face rejections and we just overcome it over a period of time. And if you ask any one salesperson, there's no very deep explanation to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? You get used to it. You figure out a way to not let that impact you, because you know that this is temporary, But the important thing is that, again, the difference between the people who have the legs and the longevity to stay in any profession, forget about selling. Let's talk about artists, right? You look at all successful singers, comedians, musicians, etc. And if you look at their early days journeys, they all start with a bar stool and an empty house.
Yeah.
They all talk about rejections, right? And it all goes back to one thing. Do you believe in what you are bringing to the table? Do you have enough why to answer? And that's what is going to make you keep going at it again and again and again and again and again. Now, one small thing of that is, it's been 10 years. I've been in the sales enablement industry and we work with tech companies. My first client was Genpack, my first ever independent program. I was 28. I walked into the room. There were about like 45, 50 AVPs and VPs sitting out there. It was an advanced leadership program, and walked into that room and I felt that, can the earth crack open? I was like, what will I even teach these people? I was drowning in self-confidence and I was like, oh no way. And it went shitty. They gave me one more chance, and then I was a good sales guy. I had sold a deal for 5 workshops. The first one was crappy. The second one was a little less crappy. And I was like, no, sorry, we cannot move ahead with you. Now that was the biggest rejection, because I could see I was delivering that program and I could see people stepping out. It's like, again, so my gig is very similar to a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. You see people walking out and you're melting on the stage. Yeah. Right? I could see, like, before the breaks, like, people were like just picking up their phone, walking out, not coming back from the break. Right? I knew this is not going right. Yeah. This was the biggest rejection, a very public one, right, that I had to face. One thing between that day and today that has not changed is my process of prep. It is the same prep, the same intensity, my same notes in my paper. I could deliver any program that I do without even reading a single slide or without even looking at a single piece of paper. But that prep, that process is so important. You have to keep your head down. You have to work at it, start all over again, and you deliver it. Be it the best athletes in the world, be it the best artists in the world, they all have the same thing. If you don't let the success hit your head, you don't let the rejection hit your heart. You believe in yourself, you believe in your self-worth, and you continue the cycle again and again and again and again, and it is boring.
Yeah.
But boring is good.
Yeah, and I think this, see, I knew the answer, okay, because you made me go through this. Actually, I must tell you, even now, my guests are all cold messages.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, there is no guest.
Shout out to SalesEdge.
Literally every one of them are cold messages.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your response rate?
So mine is pretty good now.
Yeah. How much?
It's, I think when I started the podcast, I had a list of 250 people. And I take batches of 10. And I think I have a 3 conversion.
3 on 10?
Yeah. It's pretty decent.
30% is very high.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Thanks to me,
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
no, I'm just...
Because for me, it makes
phenomenal.
a whole lot of a difference. Like, it's a value alignment.
Yeah.
The first conversation after that, if you've given me a meeting, I get to know you on a very personal front. Again, it's a prospecting process for me.
Correct.
It's about me. It's as much about you as much. It's also about me.
Right.
What do I learn from this conversation?
Right.
What do I want to get
Right.
And what would you want to get out of this as well? And these are all, I've tuned it over a period. There are episodes I had to scrap as well because I've gone through this whole process and still gone all the way to the recording, only then to realize, अरे कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं आया इसमें, and I've had to scrap it as well.
What do
but
you tell
that's-
the guest in that case? Like, they must be following up with you कि यार मेरा release कब हो रहा है?
Some do.
Yeah.
Few of them
Don't care.
don't care.
Yeah.
That's when I also the vibe ho jata hai. So most of the vibes are like by the time I meet you the first time itself, I know.
Yeah.
How
Is it
you
going to be a
speak.
fun conversation or not?
Yeah, and also it's a gauge of many things.
Hmm.
How are you with certain conversations? On the phone, it's different.
Yeah.
When you sit in front of the camera, it's a different personality that comes out.
Exactly.
Right, and so all of these matter.
Yeah.
So that practice, the process,
Yeah.
is very important.
That's very
It's so
important,
important in a game plan.
And you talked about rejection. Rejection becomes one part of it.
Yes.
That becomes a
Yes.
practice.
Yes.
And you don't start associating yourself
Yeah.
with one rejection, with one failure in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's about getting better in
Yeah.
every next time you're there in the same situation.
Very true.
What newness you bring, how do you do it better?
Very true.
You do a good job,
Yeah.
stop thinking about it, put your head down,
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yes. Yes. So here I want to ask the other question.
Mm-hmm.
Praise.
Okay, you're
Right?
still there, huh?
Yeah. Because see, one part of it is just going, positioning yourself, talking about it. We've talked about it at length. It gets better and better. And in this process, this is the process of how you learn to trust yourself,
Right.
isn't it? Where you practice, you go through success as well as rejections, and in the process, you start trusting yourself. Arey, ye kiya hai, not bad, huh? So I remember the first great guest I had, this was a judge.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very serious and all that stuff. And when he came to my podcast, I was like, I've arrived.
Yeah.
I felt very good.
Yeah.
But then you're going back to the process of, prospecting.
Right.
But praise,
Yeah.
we don't know how to take praise.
Yeah.
We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to even give it.
Mm-hmm.
But in this process that we are talking about, it's a very integral part, isn't it? You are not going to, the rewards of your journey is not going to happen right there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, to your point about boring, this process of trying, testing 1 year, 6 months to more sometimes, right? So in this process, you need to know how to handle praise for yourself, how to handle recognition for yourself, how to celebrate small wins for yourself,
Right.
and also learn how to recognize others who are coming in the process
Of course.
to enable this for you.
Extremely important.
Right.
Yeah.
But we are not taught this.
No, I think, no, you're right. You're right. We are not taught, and this is so critical for us to understand. What we are never taught is to share the spotlight with someone else. We are taught to keep it to us. Right? We have a grading system in school, which is like number 1, 2, 3. You are 28th in class. You know where you fucking stack up on the Excel sheet
Yeah.
as a 8-year-old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You and I'm 1 and you are 3.
Yeah.
There's hardly any difference between the guy who came first and the guy who came third.
Yeah.
There's no intellect. But then, as humans, and this is not just an India challenge, this is a global problem. As humans, we are the most selfish lot.
Yeah.
We always think about the WIIFM, what's in it for me, all the freaking time. We are not taught how to give it away or how to, if I just can extrapolate this to a bigger problem, on how do I even delegate this thing. Think about any job, large organizations. What is the number one complaint that most employees have with their managers? The number one complaint is micromanagement, yeah, but the number one complaint is I don't get the recognition that I deserve. I did that. I created that, and my partner, I worked 3 straight nights on that deck, and my partner presented that to the client, and just everybody, suddenly the whole board, the CEO, the CFO, and everybody just clapping for him, right? I don't get recognized. Now it takes a huge heart, a matured person, an involved individual, to basically say, who's not insecure about who they are, to stand up and say, hey, come up here. This is the team who pulled it all together. In fact, this guy did the part that you guys loved the most. Now that's a huge thing, but that's what makes good leaders. Why cannot everyone do it? Because leaders are few. Not everybody can become a leader. And this problem will continue to be there because of the law of averages. Most people will be masses. There will only be that 0.1% who will rise and shine. Right? So that's again our value system, what we grow up with, who we shape up as individuals, and most importantly, how secure are we in our own abilities? Am I insecure enough who feels if I tell everybody it wasn't me, it was this guy who's 3 layers below me created this, does that put me at risk? Does that make me a bad boss? Does that make me somebody who's not intelligent enough, not smart enough? Most people suffer from those insecurities.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything to solve that.
Yeah. But
There will always be people like that.
What you're also saying is this whole journey is not a lonely one. It's about getting the right people. And sharing the stage with them.
Exactly.
Right? It's not just about just getting the right people. It's about the stage becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
You want to run fast, you go alone. You want to run long, you go with the team. And the team only stays with you. Money is a part of it.
Yeah.
But the team only goes with you long enough if they feel valued.
Yeah.
And what do you, again, the question, how do they feel valued? You value their skills, you value their presence. You give them the validation, which is not an instant gratification of giving them a check for something. Of course, that's nice. But validating what they are and who they are, and they are in the right direction. And that's how you create that tribe, that cluster around you, and you move forward.
He was good with dating, parenting, everything.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. Pretty powerful. तू किधर जा रहा है रे? Huh? He just said no. When people are not interested, they walk away. Both my cameramen are like blah 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 blah. They walking.
Problem solving.
Acha.
He was dead. He came from Hyderabad, not directly.
Is he okay?
Yeah.
No, I think we've come
Yeah.
all the way. Now, I think finally we're coming to value selling. Uska framework hai. Can you talk about the framework of value selling?
It's going to be too boring for this, right? Like,
Put it in the context of dating. Let's
no.
have some-
So, I think, so now, by the way, we have evolved to value and consultative selling. And what I realized, and this is a journey of how you evolve, right? What we realized, there are 2 parts to it. One is selling the value,
Yeah.
and the second is not coming across as a sales guy. Because we hate salespeople,
Yeah.
right? And what we love instead are problem solvers. We love instead consultants, advisors, and that's where the word consultative selling comes from. So it's value and consultative selling. Now, what value and consultative selling is all about is about we coach people, we train people on how to uncover the biggest problems of the people. How do you ask the right questions and provide a solution which is not a tell, which is ask, ask, ask. Hey, do you care about this? Measure the impact of it. See if you have the right people on the board and if you have the right steps to move ahead. Now, this is so funny. Of course, this is the whole framework, which is, you can just cut the whole thing out. It's boring. But let's say, how does this principles apply to in everyday life, right? See, this is why it's so... Anybody here has been through an arranged marriage process or knows one or seen one? Yeah. Now, what happens, right? I mean, if you just think of this one process, it starts with something what we call as a biodata, a profile, CV, yeah. And again, you start with a large base of prospects, right? You don't fixate on one. You get a ton of those bios in front of you. And what do you look for? You're looking, yeah, how? You're looking for, पढ़ाई कहाँ से किया है? Salary. Where does the guy work? And
How does it look?
yeah, oh God, yes. Now we are talking about two aspects. Now look at this. This is so funny. We evaluate services, products, people both on two things. One is their business implications and the personal implications. Height क्या है?
Huh.
Right? If you're from Andhra and then you're a software engineer settled in US, the whole different business game is right there.
Yeah.
Right? So there are always two aspects of it, the business value and the personal and aspirations or the personal value that we look at, right? Now, if you look at the whole arranged marriage process, like you have the whole bunch of CVs or resumes in front of you. You shortlist based on where have they studied, where have they gone to college, how the height, and then there are things like the height and the hobbies. Oh, plays a guitar. And then in the same CV, they'll have the family background. You know? Papa this, Mama this, father's side uncle this. Now what is that happening if you see psychologically? That is nothing but that establishes credibility. Because end of the day, we are still talking about two strangers. I need to take a leap of faith. And what do I decide on? Switch to business. You've seen people's LinkedIn profiles that says an enterprise by ex-IMIT folks, funded by Sequoia Tiger. Correct? What is that? That is credibility. People write on their profiles, ex-Flipkart, Amazon, Google. What is that? Credibility.
मेरे में भी है.
है ना? हाँ. क्यों है? Credibility. You want the world to know, oh, I was good enough at one point to be working at HP or Microsoft. So, in both in business and personal lives, we are doing the same stuff. We are looking for credibility. Now, the next thing, so we're talking about problem solving, right? The problem challenges, right? The impact. The next step in selling that we look for, are we talking to the right people? Have we mapped? Is it the same thing in arranged marriages? You get the biodata, the father calls you, and then you set up the first meeting. You go out on a family date, right? And then what is that basically? That first meeting is nothing but it's a discovery call. You're checking, you have this initial hypothesis about, all right, good potential future, looks promising, but let's see. And what do you do in that discovery call? Both the parties are doing nothing but evaluating each other. Yeah? Both of them are. Not just one person, right? They evaluate. And imagine if after that first meeting, nobody calls up anyone. What happens then? there's no next step,
Yeah.
what happens then?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
The deal is dead. The stakes are off. What happens if after the first discovery call, you're reaching out to the prospect and you're like, hey, sir, what happened? And they're not picking up your call, they're not responding to your emails, there is no next step. The deal is
Gone.
dead. So basically the next step is like a pulse in the body. What happens when there's no pulse in the body? When there's no next step, you're dead. And both the cases, business or personal, there has to be a next step. So you see, it is so closely binded. We're looking for a high potential individual or a firm or a solution. We're looking for the impact in our lives, both at a business and at a personal level. And there has to be the right set of people involved, both the sides, right? And there's got to be a next step to move ahead. All right, we'll move again, like personal relationships. All right, we meet again. We do the ROCA, we do this, we do the engagement, we identify the venue, this, that, right? You make a mutually agreed plan to move ahead. There. Business, you also make a mutually agreed plan to move ahead.
So you walk in with an intent as well. So right?
Yeah.
As
Of
both,
course.
whether it's you going to
Yeah.
have the OPIT session or in the business side,
Yeah.
you're walking in very intentionally with, I'm going to walk out with this as a call to
Oh
action.
yeah, you do. You walk in with an open mind, and if one person walks into that meeting and place it in your head, both in the sales situation and in a personal relationship, okay? You walk in to meet the person for the first time, think whatever you want to, whatever situations, business or personal. You walk in to meet the person in the first time, and if that person has come with a closed mind, they have already decided on what they want to do. Will anything that you say or do make any difference to them? No. So you've got to be open-minded, right? And if one person is not, you try to turn them around, you try to nudge them a little, but there are times you can't. You can't. And if you can't, don't force yourself into that relationship, whether it's personal or business. Drop it, move ahead.
Fold.
Yes. Because it's not a relationship of equals. And that's what we want.
I mean, I think this is your reel. But I want to ask one more question here.
Yeah.
The cost of inaction.
Yeah.
Can you, I think this is something that we often don't.
We often don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And whether it is in relationships, whether it's in your career, I hate this job, but I'm not working towards upskilling myself or looking for another job. I'm just going to whine.
Yeah.
Like, hey, manager, or this company, this culture, or
Yeah.
this
Oh, yeah.
relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, he's not giving me time, or she's not there, or whatever.
Right.
Health as well, it's the
Yeah.
same story.
Yeah.
But the cost of inaction. See, I think in India we are not taught two things. One is how to value our time.
Right.
Like you were earlier asking, who decides the value of my time?
Right.
And the second is this, the cost of inaction.
Huge. Yeah. And it's a topic very close to my heart. Because again, if you look at it from the sales lens, the best salespeople sell the cost of inaction. And as Newton's laws of motions goes, our body is supposed to be in the state of wherever they are until applied an external force on it.
Yeah.
If somebody is in a state of inertia, sitting there on their chair, only thinking about things and not moving an inch about it, not doing anything about it, they are 100% likely to be in that state of their life, of their careers, in their deals, no matter what they think. And this is something which is a bigger problem, Saujanya, that you may think of it to be, right? Now, the best salespeople in business, I have seen them sell the cost of inaction. Of course, the change is going to be tough. The change is going to be messy. It's going to require some hard work. It's going to require, there may be a few sleepless nights, Mr. Prospect, but then let's think about it. And that's an anxiety question that you ask every time yourself and to your prospect. What happens if this doesn't change? What's the impact on you if you don't hit 20% growth this year? It should scare you. The cost of inaction is always higher than the cost that you will pay me. Yeah? And my cost to you is always going to be way lower than the impact that I'll bring in your life. That's what you sell. Good salespeople do that. Now, in personal lives, the cost of inaction is so huge. Because if you are not taking a proactive step towards something, then you're only letting the time take control and just move your direction in any way they want. You're going to be like a boat with no oars. What happens to a boat with no oars? It just floats in the water wherever it wants to, right? And in all likelihood, you will stumble upon a rock on the bank somewhere, and you'll probably be there all your life. So the cost of inaction is the most massive.
I think if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling that restlessness, what is that Akash Mehta's word for that? Tatti hari. Hey, he had a word for this. Bolna. Yeah, so he had told about every family has this one uncle or auntie who's like, kuch hota hai unko.
See, I get the emotion here. Yeah.
So anyway, I think you should cut this part. But the thing is, the ability to step back and see that I'm stuck. And to have that honest because first we're talking about ourselves. As a seller, you already probably have a manager who's also coming and telling you your numbers are showing. But as an individual, you are the leader for yourself. There's nobody else who's coming and leading you. You are the leader. Maybe your parents for some time will be like, it'll be a nag. But at some point you'll take over, and you need to step back and see where are you stuck. And what's the cost of that? And if you're not able to do that, then you are in that boat without the oars. And that cost, what you're saying, is pretty much bigger than the impact of just being where you are.
I mean, I meet so many young people, and who often talk about, I'm stuck in my career, not able to move from here to here, or look at that, look at her, where she is, right? Because she's done something to be there. And all you're thinking is opening your Netflix, keeping your fingers crossed, sleeping yourself, watching something irrelevant, and not taking one meaningful step towards the direction that you want to be in. So it's pretty straightforward for me. I mean, there's no big learning here. And I think most people understand this, but the difficult part is the execution of it. See, when I talk about, the concepts from a value and consultative selling point of view, right? The concepts are very straightforward and simple. And when somebody like me would do a show and tell and execute, it will sound so smooth, right?
True.
The problem starts when I put you to task and I say, hey, Saujanya, next 30 days, 30 minutes, you're going to do this. You're like, no, not now, not me, right? Because now what I'm doing is I'm pushing you away from your comfort zone into trying something which you have never done.
And I think it's very important to see where you're settling into comfort zones.
Right.
And yeah, this is a huge realization.
Yeah.
Last part,
Uh-huh.
negotiation.
All right.
अब prospect को इधर तक लेके आए,
हाँ.
शादी के लिए agree करते, maybe wrong example.
Wrong. Yeah, negotiation.
Maybe we've evaluated this prospect and we're going on the second date.
Yeah.
From there, like, how do you deal with negotiations? It's tough because
We'll have to do a full podcast on that.
negotiation.
Yeah. So negotiation is not so black and white, right?
Yeah.
I'll share. Is it okay if I may just stay business there?
Yeah.
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 See, just to simplify the whole thing, I'll talk about two major things there, and you pick up the parts that you like. Okay. One is step one in negotiation, especially in business negotiations, where most salespeople go wrong. When they're negotiating with the client, they think that the negotiation is about they asking for a discount and me giving it or not giving it or what percentage do I give it. Now that's 100% wrong approach to negotiations. Negotiation is not about only a discounting or a price conversation. The moment I hear the word, hey, of course there is a price objection, but the negotiation can be about 10 different things and should be about 10 different things. If I'm hearing that, hey, this is not worth $10,000, my next question is, what do you think is the worth is? And why do you think it's lesser worth? I'll take you back to the drawing board with me. I'll still check. Hey, you talked about you have stalled opportunities, you have long sales cycles, you missed your forecast numbers in the 6 quarters, you're looking to grow 80% this year. Are these the right problems? Yeah, Bhawani, these are. And do you agree with the set of 3 things that we agreed would help you achieve all of this? Yeah. I'll take them back there. And I say, hey, we are talking about the impact of solving this one little thing is going to be about 2.5 million on your funnel. And I use the most important weapon in negotiations. I pause. Right?
Yeah.
I'll do that. Yeah? And then there is sinking feeling. Now here's a guy who understands my world, my problems, my aspirations, my ambitions. Of course, the cost of doing business with him is slightly more than anyone else, but looks like a safe bet. So I'm going to do 2, 3, 4 things here, right? One, I'm going to make the decision-making process risk-free. I'm going to de-risk my buyer at every single step, number one. Number two, I'm going to continuously talk about the impact of my work on your life, both at a business and at a personal level.
Yeah.
It's not just your organization. Let me tell you how you're going to get this, right? So I'm going to talk about the impact of my work. And third and the most important thing in negotiations is, now you nail this down, and in the process, you haven't come across as a sales guy. You've come across as somebody who solves the problem, who's an expert. Your worth anyways is going to be very high for me. I'm going to do one very critical thing in the whole process. I'm going to make it so hard for you to say no to me, and I'm going to change the whole paradigm of evaluation for the rest of my 5 competitors out there.
Yeah.
So when you sit with them, and if you think that you're going to lock me out of the deal, I'm going to make it so tough for anyone else. I'm going to ring fence that deal, right? I'm going to have my own way to secure that. And finally, in negotiations, of course, the best way to think about a negotiation is it's never one way. And this is the number one mistake that most people do.
Yeah.
They start to feel, what am I getting in the return is the deal. No, baby, no. What you are getting in return is nothing. They're signing up the deal with you because you are the one who's solving these problems that they cannot solve, and you are the best out of there amongst other 5 people who would do it for them. So they're not doing a favor to you by signing this off with you.
Yeah.
They are doing this because you can do this the best way possible out there.
Yeah.
So take that out. Now, all right, if I give you the discount, what do I get in return? And now I'm going to talk about, all right, so if there are, let's say, 5 demands in negotiation, out of these 5 demands, you quickly figure out, you need to have a very quick clock speed, by the way, right? Out of the 5 demands, you figure out that this is non-negotiable. There are 2 that I can work around with, and there are 2 I'll agree to it. So what I do is I start with a yes. I say, all right, so these 5 things, I'm going to take out the price for a moment here, but let's just agree. If you get these 4, then you don't have any other objections other than the price? You say, yeah, all right. So what I do is I start with the ones that I can say yes immediately to. It's because I want that person to feel that they're winning. It's so important. I want them to go out of this negotiation and feel that they have won these 2 rounds, right? So you get a yes from me on 1 or 2. You get a partial yes with some change terms. All right, so you think you're going to make, no. So I don't accept payments 30 days after I've done the work.
Yeah.
And you're saying that you cannot do it in advance. Can we agree on something in the middle ground, right? So there are some things that you come on a middle ground. And then there is one that I say, hey, you know what? I've agreed on everything that you asked for. Give me this one. Yeah? And I get that one which is absolutely non-negotiable for me. And usually that's the one that is most important for both the parties.
Yeah.
But you have to let them win. Yeah? It's
Empathy
in
this whole thing is a big deal, isn't it?
Empathy, yeah. And but it's important.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do all of this
Yeah.
if your step 1 in the sales process was transactional.
Yeah.
If you have made it a buyer-seller conversation, you'll never ever be able to even reach this point because you haven't asked the right questions. You haven't uncovered things that they value the most. And there's no impact of whatever you're doing on their lives. It's going to become a commodity. You don't want this to become a commodity.
Nahi hai.
True.
So I think...
By the way, are we done?
Yeah, we are done.
Thank you.
Well, Bhawani, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me
here. This was such a fabulous conversation.
Yeah.
And I hope, considering where all we went, right, from self-worth to, all the way to negotiation and the sales process, I hope this can be applied to your individual journeys, not just to career and selling, but just in your life, whether it is choosing your partner, choosing preferences for your own health, or, choosing yourself, or career, right? In all of these principles and topics that we covered are very handy.
No,
They
thank you so
come
much
in
for
fully.
having me here.
Thank you.
Loved working with you and the team today. I think it's a day well spent, and
Thank you.
there are things that I learned today. So really
Thank
happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So I want to end with
All right.
everything in life is on sale. I hope this conversation helps you not to go on distressed sale
Oh yeah.
for yourself. Didn't come out well, no? Kachada it came. It is such a kachada line it came out.
Put some BGM.